When my dad passed, he left me his watch collection, the one he built for decades. My sister claimed he promised her the expensive ones. I refused to split them. A week later, I found the safe empty. She'd picked the lock and sold 4 of them to a collector in Chicago. When I confronted her, she said, "What's the point of keeping something dead people used to wear?" My aunt told me to let it go. It's just stuff. My dad was a quiet man. He didn't talk a lot, but when he did, you listened. He worked 42 years as a diesel mechanic in Joliet, Illinois. Raised me and my sister Haley with hands that were always stained with grease. He never owned anything fancy, never cared for new cars or expensive clothes. But watches? That was his thing. He didn't collect to show off. He collected because he appreciated the craft. He used to tell me, "Son, every man should own something that can outlive him." For him, that was watches. He had over 30 of them, all kept in a deep brown leather case with a combo lock. Omega, Seiko, Longines, and that Rolex Submariner he loved more than anything. He wore it only on special days, birthdays, graduations, and Mom's funeral. That's how I knew it meant something. I always helped him wind them, clean them. I even went with him to pick a few up from sellers. We'd drive out to flea markets or private sellers in Chicago or Springfield just to look at one he saw in the paper. I was the only one who cared. Haley? She thought it was Dad's nerd stuff. She never gave a crap about any of it. So when he passed last December, it didn't even cross my mind that she'd want them. I figured she'd stick to fighting over Mom's china or the patio furniture. But no. After the funeral, when we met with the estate lawyer and it became clear Dad didn't put the watches in his will, only gave me the key and instructions, Haley got quiet. Too quiet. She waited until everyone left and then followed me to the parking lot. I still remember her exact words. "I know Dad said I could have the expensive ones," she said with that sweet little fake smile. "No," I said. "He didn't." "Yes, he did," she snapped. "He told me when I was in high school that one day they'd be mine." "Haley," I said, "you're lying. I was there when he handed me the key. He told me exactly what he wanted." She huffed, flicked her hair over her shoulder, and walked off. I didn't think much of it. Maybe I should have. A week later, I came home to find the safe open. At first, I thought maybe my wife had been looking for something, but she swore she didn't even know how to open it. Then I checked the security camera in the garage. It only saved 24 hours worth of footage. It had already rolled over. Panic set in. I called my cousin Jeremy, he's an old-school locksmith, and asked him to look at the safe. He said, "Someone picked this. Clean work too. Not a smash and grab. Someone knew what they were doing." That's when I remembered something Haley said years ago. Her ex-boyfriend was a car thief. He taught her how to pick locks for fun, she once bragged at a party. I called her. Straight to voicemail. So I texted, "Bring them back. Now." She called 20 minutes later. "You really want to go there?" she said, not even pretending to be innocent. "You broke into my house and stole Dad's watches." I didn't break in. I knew the garage code. You shouldn't leave your stuff lying around. They were in a locked safe. You shouldn't hoard things just because you're a bitter little man who misses Daddy. Then she dropped the line that burned itself into my skull. What's the point of keeping something dead people used to wear? I hung up. I didn't sleep that night. I went full detective mode. Pulled up old messages from mutual friends, asked around quietly. After 2 days, I got a lead. She sold them through a guy named Denny who flips collectibles in Chicago. I called Denny. I played dumb, said I was looking to buy vintage watches, and mentioned a Rolex Submariner with a cracked bezel. He paused. "Where'd you hear about that one?" "Someone said you picked up a few watches recently." "Just curious." "Yeah, well, they're gone now. Sold to a buyer in West Loop. Cash. No paper trail. You're late." He hung up. I wasn't just angry anymore. I was done. Haley didn't just steal watches. She spit on Dad's memory and she laughed while doing it. I realized something, she'd always been like this. She used to steal from my mom's purse when we were kids. She crashed Dad's car senior year and blamed me. Got pregnant in college and blamed her roommate for letting her drink. Somehow she always came out clean. Not this time. I didn't go to the cops. They treat it like a civil matter, or worse, family drama. I started making moves. First, I called Haley's landlord and offered to buy out her lease. Told him I was helping my sister relocate for health reasons. He agreed, happily, since she was always late with rent. I paid the fee, waited for the notice to hit, and watched her melt down on Facebook. Next, I talked to her employer. Haley works at a boutique pet grooming place in Peoria, claims to be manager but really just runs the front desk. I sent them an anonymous email with video stills from my garage camera showing her walking out with a black bag, one I recognized from Dad's safe. The email said she had a history of theft. No return address. 3 days later, she was let go. Then I got personal. Haley loved one thing, her stupid Instagram brand. Haley and Honey, she called it, her and her little golden retriever, all pastel filters and morning latte posts. She had like 18K followers, half of whom she bought. But she lived for it. So I made a fake account, followed her for weeks, then hacked the email she used for recovery thanks to a forgotten password I knew from back in high school. I didn't do anything illegal, just posted an old video of her from a party back in college, drunk, screaming at a server and calling them names I won't repeat here. Then I tagged some of her sponsors. They dropped her within 48 hours. She called me in tears. "Why are you doing this to me?" "You stole from Dad," I said calmly. "And you don't even care." "It was just stuff," she screamed. "I needed the money." "No, Haley," I said. "You needed to feel like you won. That was 4 months ago." She moved in with Aunt Teresa. Doesn't have a job. Lost her dog to a custody dispute with an ex. And as for the watches, I managed to recover too. The buyer in West Loop turned out to be a guy named Mike who collects for sentiment, not profit. I drove up, told him the story, showed him the blue notebook with my dad's notes. He gave them back. No charge. I wear the Submariner now every Sunday. And the Omega when I go out. The other two? Lost forever. Just like my sister's dignity. You can tell me I went too far. Maybe I did. But some things aren't just stuff. Some things are what's left of the people we loved. And if you let someone take that from you, then you've already lost. Things had started to settle down, or so I thought. I was finally getting sleep again. I'd kept the 2 recovered watches locked in a new biometric safe I installed in my bedroom closet. This one couldn't be picked. It needed my fingerprint. My wife asked me one night, "Do you feel better now? Like it's over?" I told her, no. But I feel like she finally got what was coming to her. That lasted about 3 weeks. Then I got a letter in the mail. Certified. It was from a lawyer. Haley was suing me for defamation. She claimed the anonymous emails I sent her job were libel, that I orchestrated an online harassment campaign, and that her livelihood was destroyed. The letter was full of dramatic legal language, but I could smell her hand all over it. She wasn't done with me, not even close. I handed the letter to my attorney, same guy who helped settle Dad's estate. He read it and laughed. "She doesn't have a case," he said. "But she's angry. That makes her dangerous." He was right. The next week, someone slashed my tires in the grocery store parking lot. All 4. Nothing stolen, no notes left. Just flat tires on a windy Tuesday afternoon. That same day, my wife's phone started blowing up with spam texts and prank calls. All day. Then my 12-year-old school called to say someone anonymously reported him for bullying. Totally made-up claims. Haley was coming at me sideways. She didn't want her watches back. She wanted revenge. I sat in the garage that night, just staring at the old Casio watch from Dad's coaching days. The only one she hadn't taken. The one she probably left behind on purpose because she thought it was worthless. It hit me then, this wasn't over because she didn't want it to be. She needed someone to blame for the life she ruined herself. And I was the only one left. So I went deeper. I knew she had a secret. Everyone does. And I was going to find hers. I started with her ex, Derek. The one she lived with last year before they broke up. I called him, told him I was trying to help Haley out and wanted to make sure she was doing okay. At first he laughed. "You actually give a shit about her now?" "No," I said honestly. "But I need to know what she's hiding." He hesitated, then dropped a bomb. "She's got a kid." "What?" "She had a baby." Gave him up. Nobody knows except me and her roommate at the time. It was right before she started that stupid dog influencer thing. I didn't know what to say. He sent me a photo. Haley holding a newborn, sitting on a hospital bed. Face pale, eyes hollow. No makeup. Real. "You sure?" "Positive." I didn't even know who the father was. Haley never mentioned it. Never posted about it. Never even hinted. This was the kind of secret that could destroy her image. Not because having a baby is shameful, but because she lied about who she was. She built her whole life around a fake identity. Carefully staged happiness. Self-love. Confidence. Meanwhile, she was hiding the deepest part of herself in a dark closet. I wasn't proud, but she wanted to play games? Fine. I created a burner account. I uploaded the photo, captioned it. How well do you really know your favorite petfluencer? Some secrets don't stay buried. I posted it at 2:14 a.m. By 6 a.m., it had gone viral on the pet lover side of Instagram. People were tagging her, asking questions, demanding answers. By noon, Haley deleted her entire account. Then she called me. Her voice was shredded. You don't know what you've done, she whispered. I said nothing. You ruined me. You ruined everything. She was crying, but it sounded forced. Like she still thought she could make me feel guilty. I didn't. I hung up. That night, Aunt Teresa called me again. Please, she said. Enough is enough. No, I said. It's just getting started. After the Instagram leak, I figured Haley would lay low. Maybe finally realize she couldn't keep screwing people over without consequences. But that's not what happened. She got desperate. 3 weeks went by without a word. I thought it was over until I got a message from my Uncle Frank. He owns a little bait shop outside Kankakee and doesn't get involved in family drama. So when he called me out of the blue, I knew something was wrong. You need to come down here, he said. Haley's been asking around about the watches. I drove down that same day. When I got there, he showed me the shop's security footage. Haley had stopped by earlier in the week, said she was trying to track down some family heirlooms that I'd supposedly stolen from Dad's estate. She even cried. Told Frank I'd robbed her of her legacy. Frank didn't buy it. He knew Dad left the watches to me. But what really got me was what she asked next. She wanted to know where you keep them now, Frank said. What kind of safe? If you store them in a bank box or at home. She was planning something. I went home and double-checked everything. The new biometric safe was untouched. But my gut told me this wasn't over. So I set a trap. I installed a second camera in the garage, this time hidden in the vent above the tool bench. I also placed a fake safe near the original one. Same style, same color, but filled with junk. Some broken watches, costume jewelry, and a few bills to make it look real. Then I waited. It didn't take long. 2 nights later, while my wife and kids were away visiting her sister, I got the alert on my phone. Motion detected. 2:11 a.m. I opened the feed. There she was. Haley. Black hoodie, gloves, hair tied back. She moved like someone who'd done this before because she had. She went straight for the decoy safe. Used the same damn pick set she probably used last time. It took her less than 5 minutes. She opened it, stared at the contents, and froze. Then she looked straight up into the vent, right at the hidden camera. She knew, and she bolted. I didn't call the cops. Not yet. Instead, I waited until the next morning. I sent her one photo. A clear shot of her face staring directly into the lens. No caption. She didn't reply, but I know what that silence meant. Fear. That should have been the end. But Haley always had one more play. She went to my wife, told her I was obsessed, that I'd been hoarding inheritance money, that I had secret cameras all over the house, that I was tracking her like a stalker. She even showed her photos, screenshots from our old texts, twisted out of context to make me look like a psycho. My wife confronted me that night. Is any of this true? She asked. No, I said. But you already know that. She nodded. But I could tell the seed had been planted. That's when I realized. Haley couldn't destroy me, so now she was trying to poison everyone around me. Fine. She wanted war? I still had one card left to play. I knew Haley would never stop on her own. She'd burn down the whole family just to feel like she won. So I stopped thinking like a brother and started thinking like a man with nothing left to lose. I remembered something from when we were kids. Haley always kept a journal. She'd write everything down. Who she hated that week, what boys she had crushes on, lies she told Mom. I always thought she'd grow out of it, but she didn't. She just got sneakier. A few years ago, she had a laptop stolen. Claimed it had her whole life on it. Freaked out so bad she ended up paying a guy to try and recover the hard drive remotely. I figured she still stored her personal stuff digitally. I guessed her password in 2 tries. Her dog's name and her birthday. Inside? A goldmine. Emails. PDFs. Screenshots of her scamming people. She was selling fake dog training courses online under a different name, pretending to be a certified trainer. No license. No training. Just copying stuff from YouTube and slapping her name on it. She even had receipts showing how she scammed an elderly man in Florida out of $1,200 for a lifetime access package. And worse, she'd been signing Dad's name on fake letters to collectors, trying to get more of his watches back from buyers by pretending she was the rightful heir. I packaged it all into a nice little folder. Then I sent it to two places, her lawyer and the IRS. The lawyer dropped her case that afternoon. The IRS? They don't move fast, but they move deep. 2 weeks later, Haley's accounts were frozen. She posted a desperate GoFundMe saying her business was being unfairly targeted and she was facing sudden financial hardship. I didn't donate. A few days after that, she called me. No threats. No fake tears. Just silence at first. Then she said, "You ruined me." I waited. Then said, "No. You ruined you. I just showed everyone." She hung up. A month passed. Then one morning, my wife handed me a manila envelope. No return address. Inside were the 2 missing watches. No note. Just the watches, wrapped in old t-shirts. I knew she sent them, not out of guilt, but because she had nothing left to lose. She was evicted a week later. Moved to Indiana to live with some friend from high school. Nobody's heard much since. As for me, I still wear the Submariner every Sunday. Sometimes I look at it and feel proud. Sometimes I feel sad. Because all of this, everything that happened, came from one small moment. Someone thinking they could take from the dead and get away with it. I learned something through all this. Vengeance doesn't bring peace. It doesn't bring closure. But it does bring clarity. I wasn't the same person after this. Neither was she. And maybe that's the point. Some scars aren't meant to heal. They're meant to remind. Dad once told me how you protect what matters says everything about who you are. Now I understand what he meant. And I think he'd be proud.